As an undergraduate, I used to find myself laughing at people like the communications majors. Oh, they have it so easy. It's so much more difficult for me as a dual major in physics and computer science. We're doing real science, and what they're doing, that's namby-pamby stuff. That was until my whole career was at stake. Years later, I was a faculty member just starting out at UNC Chapel Hill, and my career was at stake because I couldn't get my grant proposals funded, and things were going to go down the tubes if I didn't fix it. And this was over not a technical issue, not some kind of scientific issue, over a communication issue. I couldn't figure out how to communicate to the colleagues that were reading my proposals enough to have them decide to fund me. And in fact, reflecting on this, all of the challenges of my time as a researcher had to do with these so-called soft skills. Skills like getting along, skills like communicating with others effectively in grant proposals and in everything else, organizing other people's efforts, organizing employees, postdocs, graduate students. It was never the skills that we label as hard that were tripping me up. You know, I talked to somebody recently who was visiting with a department chair for an annual review. And the department chair was saying, yeah, you're doing a great job. And oh, by the way, I noticed you're spending a lot of time sort of developing your skills like the grant writing and things like that. And that's good. I congratulate you on doing these soft skills. But it was sort of a offhanded way of congratulating somebody and really implying that, okay, that's nice that you're doing that, but now get back to the real work. Now get back to the hard work. There have been other feedback that I've heard like that. I had a client who once said that their department chair, when they mentioned they were doing some grant writing training, the department chair said, you don't need grant writing help. You just need to do better science. And the implication was that the science was hard, and this grant writing stuff, this communication stuff, that's like a soft skill, that's easy. Don't worry about that. You know, it'll take care of itself as long as you do great research. What BS. Communication is not a soft skill. My ass, it's a soft skill. It is a hard science. You know, the hardest thing that I worked on in my 10 years in a faculty position at UNC Chapel Hill, where I achieved tenure and got lots of funding and all that kind of stuff, it came from that hard work that I got that funding. And this was the hardest thing, the most difficult thing that I worked on. And it is a science as well as an art, but there's definitely this strong scientific element to it. So let's just briefly think about what the science is. The science is when you're presenting in a grant proposal your ideas, you have to think about the frame, and not only a single frame, but multiple frames and how they interact and overlap to create the impression that you need to create to get somebody interested and to not get them to go and run away. You have to think about the impact it has on the reader. What is the frame the reader comes in with? What is the frame you have? What is the frame of the community? How do these all come together to impact your reader? What details does the reader need to know? And which do they definitely not need to know, at least at this point in the story? And what is the sequencing of the story? What is the very specific order of presentation of the information? And so on and so forth. I go on a lot about this in other videos I've made, so I won't go into detail here, but you get the point, right? It's hard work. When I made this transition from getting roundly rejected to then getting 4 R01s in a row funded without a single rejection, after I made this shift, after I started really getting serious about learning these difficult skills, it made all of the difference in my career. Communication is a hard thing, and I want to quote from the Feynman lectures on physics. So Richard Feynman is a Nobel laureate in physics from the previous century. He's no longer with us. And he developed these lectures, and they are referred to as some of the best lectures in sort of freshman physics for somebody who really wants to learn it. And what he said, after a year of teaching this course and developing these lectures, he said, I didn't want to leave any student completely behind, as perhaps I did. I think one way we could help the students move forward more would be by putting more work into developing a set of problems which would elucidate some of the ideas in the lectures. And he went on in the introduction to this to just talk about how difficult it was. And then the people who later did a revision of this for later publication talked about how difficult this clear communication actually was. We're talking about one of the most brilliant physicists of the 20th century saying this communication stuff, it's hard. It's very hard. So many of the most impactful and recognized scientists are actually the ones who mastered this hard skill. If you think of any famous scientist that you can recall, almost all of them have mastered this skill to some degree or another, or otherwise they're simply not famous. They're suffering in obscurity. So it's important to treat this like the true hard skill that it is, to put the time into it, to put the commitment into it, to realize that it doesn't come for free. It's not just like this easy thing where if you focus on the science and do great science that you get all the other stuff for free. No, unfortunately, that's not how it works. We have to invest in it. And that's what I did, and it changed everything for me. So I really encourage you, hope for you, that you will take it seriously and do the same in your career. And with that, if you would like to get more videos, please like this one and subscribe. And also, if you want to see the latest training that we have available, go over to grantwebinar.com and check out what we have running there. All right, this is Morgan signing off.